And the governor of Siaya County, His Excellency James Orengo, is our guest for the next hours. Governor, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me in your show.
Karibu sana. It's good to see you. Always a pleasure having you. Yeah. We're going to get into the conversation around the investment conference, around Siaya, around, your years in pushing for devolution in this country and for better governance. But first, Janet is going to give you the day's quote. Listen to the quote. Yeah. Let's see whether those words make any sense to Senior Counsel.
Senior Counsel. I was about to say.
The quote is by Ama Ata Aido, a Ghanaian author. And she said, "We have learned to wait, but waiting has never built a nation." What do you make of that?
Well, the business is now, is not in the future. We build the future now rather than waiting to build the future tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great quote.
Yeah. Do you think we've been waiting and waiting and waiting as a country for something, or do you think sometimes it's right in front of us?
I think it's not so much of a wait. I think it's so much of a false start. We have made many false starts. Good foundations, good law. We had a good constitution at the beginning of our independence. But there was a false start because the first thing we thought about was to change that constitution. And once that process started, we are going down south. And I think every time we have had those high moments, we tend to go back to where we shouldn't be.
We go at the point we seem to achieve something.
Yep.
Yes.
And then we just take soil and pour on top on that thing that we just achieved.
Mud.
Not just soil. Mud onto it.
Yeah.
Last week, Governor, we were having a conversation on Wednesday. Lest we forget that at one point this country was actually a single party state. Officially, unofficially, and then officially. And in 1982, when that Katiba was amended and Section 2A was introduced, the next election happened in 1983, which was now a single-party election. And we saw what happened within the next 5 years, and thereafter, there was a clamor for, let's get our multi-partyism back. You were central to that. But in 1983, when you went to Parliament, and you were, wanting to be a leader of this country, you were pushing for a better Kenya. The vision that you saw in 1983 and where you sit now in 2025 and you look back, we have a new constitution. Well, not new, we have a constitution, we have devolution, we have, structures, institutions, and so on. Are we there?
I think some steps have been made. First of all, having a basic document like the constitution we have today is a wonderful achievement because you have a reference point. Normally a constitution is a reference point. And the transformative thing about our new constitution, which is not so new now, is that it tells us not just how we run our politics, our governance, but also how we run the country economically, especially in the financial sector. So I think there is some progress in that direction because we got a reference point. We can go back to the constitution and determine whether we are in the right direction or whether we are going south.
One of the radical things that constitution introduced is devolution.
Yes.
And the idea of devolution was let the people decide. Let the people decide what their priorities are. Let the people decide to put resources into those priorities and let then the government that's there serve them directly. Have we achieved that?
I don't think we have achieved. I think we are where we were at the beginning, during independence. During independence, we had a constitution that encouraged an element of federalism. We had Majimbo, we had the regions, but it was killed off because we had a lot of centralists in the government. And at the end of the day, they starved those entities, those regions, with revenue. And they just died off naturally, and then essentially, and later on politically. I think we are in a similar situation where we are not necessarily trying to change the constitution as far as devolution is concerned, but how we run that space is completely the opposite. It shows that we'd rather not have devolution.
We've had the conversation on what exactly could be done to fully achieve the devolution as the Constitution envisions it.
I think the problem is that when you have a start and you start with people who don't believe in it, then you're always going to have a problem. I think great constitutions normally needs reformers at the helm at the beginning.
Right.
I think like in the United States, if you didn't have reformers, people who believed in certain principles and certain ethos of governance, they wouldn't have gotten where they are. For example, the issue of term, it was never in their constitution, a limitation, but you know, the founders, beginning with George Washington, felt, you know, 2 terms, although it is not in the constitution, should be the right direction to go. So I think there are wonderful things in the constitution, like making counties get resources without a lot of hurdles. Now, if you look at the way that is managed, at the end of the day, devolution will not grow stronger. It will go through turbulence, and I'm afraid it may not go to the direction based on what is in the constitution.
To the best outcome. Does that sometimes discourage your vision for the kind of county you want Siaya to be? Because it is part of, you know, devolution. And you've raised a good point. There's people who do not vouch for devolution. And as you're looking at, I want this county to be a model county. I want there to be economic transformation. Sometimes are you bedeviled by the fact that not everybody sees the promise of devolution?
No, yeah, I don't think everybody sees. And we see big nations and small nations, both in the East, in the West, in the North and the South, really, you know, encouraging devolution. Little countries like Switzerland, they are tiny states, although they're in the first world, but devolution works. And even countries that we think are not quite democratic, they have strong regional governments. So I think in Kenya, what we need to do is to, you know, do what the constitution requires us to do. You know, you have some countries where particular states, even in India, you find some particular states are very strong economically. They can compare with countries because the energies are allowed to grow and thrive without interference from the center. So I hope and trust that we don't change any letter or change the spirit that is found in the chapter dealing with devolution. Because so long as it is there, it will always be a reference point.
Yes.
And it'll make us work harder. When I see what the young people do now, I'm so encouraged. The level of consciousness, political consciousness, is higher. People read more, whether it is in the social media or the mainstream media, or just reading books. You can't really take them for granted. And with that spirit, I think so long as we got people speaking for devolution, it's bound to grow stronger.
Right.
Yeah.
You touched on independence, and part of it, my mind just went to financial autonomy. How is Siaya doing with on-source revenue?
We are not doing very well on source revenue, I must confess. One is that Siaya was like a backyard county. It used to be part of Central Nyanza, which included Kisumu district.
Yeah.
A lot of the factories, in fact, all the factories, all the entities that count in economic terms were in the Kisumu part.
Yeah.
And Siaya, even now as we speak, we don't have one single factory. We are trying to change that with this conference which is coming. But we are not where we were 3 years ago. I think there's been a lot of improvement. And we have automated our systems, not all the streams as yet, but we're about to get there.
Okay.
So how much are you raising now annually?
This year, when I became governor, the on-source revenue was about 300 million. In the last financial year, we were at 900 million. So that's tremendous progress.
Yes.
But in comparative terms, you know, we still got some distance to go.
What has the Commission on Revenue Allocation estimated to be your potential for on-source revenue?
1.2 billion.
1.2.
Yeah,
okay.
1.2.
So still have some room to go.
But and then the other thing that we didn't have in Siaya, and it takes a while to achieve, to have a valuation role. Valuation roles make it possible to tax or levy property owners, property rates. We don't have it at the moment, but I think in about 2 months, we'll have completed the process, and we may have the county assembly approving the valuation role. That will change tremendously the on-source revenue in the county.
Okay.
You know, when you look at many of the counties, even since 2013, many of them were looking at, let's see how we can attract investment to come in.
Yeah.
Of course, part of it is so that you can get local employment creation and also local sources of revenue as well. Now, you are planning the Siaya International Trade and Investment Conference. Many counties are doing the same. So what would be the difference between what you are packaging as your deal and Siaya and what your neighbors are packaging? What is
in Siaya, we are saying if you want, we make one good deal instead of many deals, or you know, signing many memorandum of understanding (MOUs). I think at the end of the day, some of them end up in the shelves and never to be retrieved. We are saying if we can get one or even a maximum of 3 bankable projects, you know, something that's going to work in the next 2-3 months, then we'll be in a good place. And for that matter, I am glad to report that our investment conference has been a process. The 14, 15, 16, 17, when we hold the sessions, will just be a continuation, because we have been talking to investors and attracting them to come to Siaya. So some of them, you know, I'm glad to report, we'll be able to point out where we have come from and where we are with them, and be able to get the business going.
Yeah. Are there any flagship projects that you can speak to that you'd want to do at scale? Because you're saying there's some that we can continue doing. Any that you can see?
Let me say, all the time, health, water, education are very important pillars for the people, and even infrastructure. That must keep on going. That is the public domain, is the public entities, national government in particular and county government, which has to undertake infrastructure developments. But right now, we have, and let me put it this way, agriculture is key to Siaya, and it is transformative if we can use its full potential. So we are hoping to have investments in the agro sector, the agro industry, and sugar is a big thing for Siaya, rice, edible oils, and of course traditionally we have had maize and cassava and millet for subsistence. But in Siaya we're also talking about coffee. Siaya used to grow a lot of Robusta coffee in the period before and after independence, but for reasons of marketing it died off. Siaya used to be a cotton country. Almost every small trading center, you had those stores for collection of cotton. We are hoping by the end of this conference and with the discussions we are having with investors to establish a cotton ginnery where we'll achieve, you know, all the protocols of value addition in Rarieda at a place called Madian. In the area of mining, you know, for the future, Siaya may become the golden county. We have gold, deposits that could be exploited commercially. And right now we have got an investor on the ground. If we can get that going, and the process is ongoing, it can change. It can be a big thing for the country and for Siaya. And the company which is involved is a London Stock Exchange quoted company. Mm-hmm. Then we got the thing that some people don't want us to talk about, mm-hmm. The nuclear plant. Mm-hmm. That will be the biggest project ever in Kenya. It'll be like 2.5 SGRs mm-hmm. in terms of investment. Mm-hmm. That is a process that we think if we can achieve, and that process has started, it will make Siaya the destination for manufacturing and industry, because we hope, if we take other examples, places like Hungary, where we've gone, in Siaya you'll be able to get electricity cheaper than the rest of the country, although that electricity which is going to be produced is going to be in the national grid. So that is going to be a big thing. In hydro, we got 2 projects, in Dano Falls and at a place called Lihanda. These are ongoing, and some of them have received licenses and letters of no objection, and NEMA is also processing their applications. We think that will significantly change what we're doing in Siaya.
Right. When we come back from the break, I'll want to dive into the how we're attracting this investment into Siaya. But just before we go in, like you said, the one people don't want you to mention is nuclear. Walk us through the potential for the Lihanda, yes, power plant, nuclear power plant. Why nuclear? Why Siaya? Why now?
Yeah, you know, you look at every country we can imagine where good things happen. They got a nuclear plant, be it in the Middle East, the Gulf states where we like going, be it like France where 80% of their electricity is nuclear. It gives them a leverage even over a country like United Kingdom. I think Germany has been slow going that direction because of the history of its history. In America, in Japan, in Korea, nuclear is the thing. In Africa, South Africa has taken the lead. They've been there for several years. And just imagine Ethiopia. They have just unveiled a hydro plant producing more than 6,000 megawatts. Together with their capacity previously, they're producing more than 10,000 megawatts compared to Kenya's 3,000 megawatts. Now, they are also going nuclear because they say that is not good enough. The key to industrialization and manufacturing is the cost of electricity. This is where Kenya is not competitive. And it sometimes explains why Tanzania can have an electric train. The SGR is electric. Ethiopia is having electric trains. There are countries from the very distant past, like Zimbabwe, South Africa. They've had electric trains over the years. And Kenya, we're still
lagging behind. We'll come back. We're going into a break. We'll come back because even as Mariam said, you said people don't want to hear about it. It's trying to also understand what does the community feel about it. We've talked about nuclear a few times. And no matter how well it's explained, there's still that hesitation around what it does, even though the opportunities exist. So we'll come back and still dive into, is the community behind it? What are their hesitations? And how are you taking those into consideration as we continue hosting Siaya County Governor, Honorable James Orengo, devolution, economy, politics, all of that. We have him for quite a bit of time. We can see some of your questions coming in. We'll try and get to them as well. It's coming up to 7:30. the Kikombe at some point wants you to say, yo, man, again, Latif Aunabati. Eric is looking like Tupac Shakur. Good morning, Fixers. It's been a while. Okay, so that's, then Paul Miner is asking if this is me on the T-shirt. I'm highly flattered. It is Aliyah. It is not me.
But same. I mean, you and Aliyah.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah. All right, so some questions. Jeremy Mutuma is saying, how is Siaya County government controlling its sewage system before thinking of establishing a nuclear plant? The Kikombe is it's Jeremy ndio ameuliza. Youth unemployment remains quite high. How can we encourage more young people not to leave, Dala for cities? And Plano on the proposed nuclear power plant. Why did they agree? Basically because about knowing the risks. We can't manage it. Imagine managing nuclear waste if we can't manage waste. And that's what we talked about just before we got into the break, is just a lot of the hesitation around progressing with the nuclear plant. And so I think we can get right in. Governor Orengo, you'd already started talking about how you're making sure that it's something that's progressive. I'd asked how you're also keeping in mind the community. Are they on board? How are you managing to assuage their fears and concerns as you speak to the full potential of what this nuclear plant can bring?
Yes, I think we have not quite gone to the ground to the extent that we should, and not with the intensity that is required. It is not an easy task, but we want to roll it off, and with the support of the national government, because it's something which must be driven by both levels of government. But more importantly, the International Atomic Agency, based in Austria, Vienna, must be involved. They inspect all nuclear facilities, whether they're in the West or in the East. And safety and security are fundamental. So I think at the end of the day, if we talk to our people, and we have had discussions with the people in Vienna and at the national government and with NUPER to get some really local people, people who will be directly affected, to go and visit some of these plants. I remember when we were in Vienna about 4 or 5 months ago, and some naysayers from the coast, when we were taken to a nuclear plant in Hungary, they like change their mind. The place is so quiet. When you're taken near the reactor, room, which you would consider to be the noisiest part of the plant, it is so quiet that you could be listening to your best music, Beethoven or Lingala music, without interference. So the people must get involved. And the ways of handling nuclear waste is very different from what how it used to be handled. They're better stored, and most of the time they don't have to be finally gotten rid of at the plant where or the country where the plant is. Is normally taken eventually by those who construct that plant. And it's got a lifespan of about 70 years. And any investment into a plant, you can recover the entire cost within 15 years. If you compare to hydro, geo, and all others, it is more cost effective, I must say. And again, when we want to look at countries where there is nuclear energy, they're well lit even at night. You go to some cities in India, in the Gulf, which are neighbors, they're not as dark as Nairobi. They can afford to have their lights on 24 hours because the cost is very low. And Nairobi is very dark at night comparatively. So I think there are more pluses than minuses when you talk nuclear.
But you're saying for the people of Siaya, sorry, Maria. You're saying for the people of Siaya, the benefit of having it in Siaya is that you can then get cheaper power, and then you can attract investment that creates jobs. It's not that the plant is going to be the one that employs.
But the plant is going to employ quite a number of people, right? Like one of the things that we're doing is to create a faculty in Jaramogi Odinga University to try and train people with the necessary skills, the people they require at the highest level or medium level. But also we must revamp TVETs and VCTs to make sure that those skills at a lower level, and they will be required in plenty. So even in employment directly, we're going to make wonderful gains. The model that we saw in Hungary operates like this, that out of the money made out of the plant in terms of revenue, a percentage goes to the local government, which means for us county government of Siaya. Then a percentage also goes to the host community, those within the ward or the location where the plant is. Then the county gets a rebate of electricity costs, so that people in Siaya will be paying electricity at a much lower rate than other people nationally. So the direct effects.
Those direct benefits.
Yeah, and that would then attract industry to come to Siaya.
I'm interested in those three, but particularly the rebate on power costs. Is it a deal that you've already agreed with the national government as you continue with these conversations, or are you hoping to have that conversation with the national government?
We're having that conversation.
And repair later?
We're having that conversation now. Yeah, even for us to have said yes at the level of leadership, we have had to look at it. What is it there? What is there for the county? That was a basic question. Not what is there for the nation, but what is there for the county to enable us to host it. So we're not just jumping into it.
Right.
We're blindfolded.
As we wrap up the nuclear conversation, like Latif said, we usually have the back and forth. My pushback is usually not against the technology, the potential, the savings that come from nuclear. It's capacity. And when I say capacity, I don't mean technical capacity. Corruption worries me as far as just the way the country operates and the dangers of nuclear. Because when we do have nuclear disasters, unfortunately, they're not like any other. So how do we foolproof the country and the county against, potential gaps, corruption, all those things, the Kenyanisms that could potentially go wrong?
Basically, the technology will be applied not by Kenyans only. The experts, those who are going to put that plant. That investment, I cannot imagine the Kenya government being able to put that investment. Because it's like, as I said at the beginning, it's like building 2.5 SGRs. So we are bringing in potential investors, either from Korea or from the United States. Ethiopia has gone to Russia, and many people, investors out there, are ready to take up to the task. Ghana, for example, is also going that direction. But I think the fear, sometimes when you look at the figures, the destruction that comes out of and death from hydro, dams which collapse. I mean, if you take figures worldwide, which has had more calamities, you'd find nuclear, when it happens, yes, it is dramatic, but it is probably minimal when you compare to other sources of energy.
It's the scale of destruction that makes people panic. And again, just before we venture out of this, it's really having that local understanding. I know you're saying you're having public participation. From the onset and from the initial feedback you're getting, if any, beyond the waste, is there anything that people in Siaya are particularly concerned about? Beyond the waste, beyond the scale of destruction, is there a specific misunderstanding they have?
One of the is health. obviously, because the water that is required by the plant, how is it treated and released back to where that water was obtained? That is a matter which is of a particular concern. I went to a plant, again, as I said, in Hungary, and ate the fish from the river that feeds that plant. And it has happened over years. In fact, that plant is over 50 years and has had no accidents, no health hazards. So, I mean, at the end of the day, everything, even riding in your car, if you believe that on the way to the nation you're likely to have an accident,
that's true,
we'll not have you here.
There are risks involved.
Or just boarding a plane with the accidents we see, you may not want to board a plane.
Governor, you're a champion for the people. You've championed for inclusive governance, and therefore public participation is key. What do you think your government needs to do to assuage everybody and make them feel that this will be a safe thing?
I think we need to go down right to the grassroots. I think it's like reaching everybody, especially in the host community where the plant is going to be built. It'll not just be a question of talking to people generally. I think if we can reach every single individual, which is possible with the support that we'd get internationally also, to talk to our people and, not just think about the dangers out of proportion. You must think about them, but should not be out of proportion with the potential benefits. Just look at what the United States did in Iran. They used the biggest bomb out of nuclear and hit 3 nuclear plants. Now, that obviously should have caused damage which would have gone across countries, not just Iran. Yeah, but I think the damage were not so much from the plant, but from the bomb which was exploded by the United States. Yeah. So I think. Kenya has either to decide to be in the first world, like I heard President Ruto say the other day. We want to be part of first world, or we want to continue being
acting like it.
I know.
And we can remain there if that's the choice. It's a matter of choice. And yet, what other forms of energy do we have? Hydro. We have limited possibilities. Even geothermal, we have got limited possibilities. Solarization and wind, of course, we cannot put them the back burner. But when you want to industrialize, you cannot have this little
unstable
and stability. One thing that is good about nuclear plants is the stability. And this is, you talk to any industrialist in Kenya, the stability of power. That in any single day, you can have 5, 10 outages.
It's very hard to exhaust this topic. And I think it needs multiple sessions and conversations because it keeps coming up. But I also wanted, Eric used the word inclusive. What does an inclusive youth economy look like? Because I'm also thinking beyond nuclear. There's sports, there's the creative economy. I know there's the Siaya Stadium. Beyond that, how are we integrating the promise of the creative economy as well?
I think there are areas like you mentioned in the creative economy where the youth can actually self-drive, self-motivate. There are people with talents in sports, in music, and culture. Those are the things that we need to nurture. How to go about it, takes a little time. Do we start academies? You go to cities like London or in the US, where you have these academies for speech, even how to speak, And the Kenyans, I'm told generally, we're very good. When the US conglomerates were trying to put digital hubs in India and other places, they thought Kenya was a better option but Kenya didn't have, again, power, like India has. But that's an area where we can involve the youth, but it must begin with the resources. The youth can't just, go about that business without motivation, without training, without honing of skills. But at the end of the day, the life of a nation actually depends on the young people. Even if a country goes to war, it's the young people who go. They sacrifice more. And most of the time, they're looking for opportunities. If you go into the rural areas, the youth that are idle, a lot of them try to find, things to do. Border, manambas, they do those things because they want something to do. So I think thinking about the future is how to enlarge our economy and make it inclusive and look for areas which can get the youth in employment. Otherwise, I think we are in a very bad place because we saw what happened last year. In another 10 years, if we don't do something drastic, we're going to have an unstable nation. Look at what is happening in Madagascar. You have a president who was driven to power by young people, and now the same young people are pushing him, where he belongs, because the youth want results. So we have every day to think about how to address that question about the youth.
So what are you exactly doing in Siaya? Because there's all that, and just like today's quote, they do not want to wait for the future. They want the now. They want to live the now. They are coming out of school now. They are getting into the job market today. They want to start their lives now.
Hence this investment conference. We think that if we succeed with the industries that we think are going to come to Siaya, basically they're going to look for young people to employ. But I think at the end of the day, it depends on what we do as a nation about devolution. For example, former governor of Laikipia, Nderitu Murithi, came out with something that required approval of Parliament, and particularly the Senate, of borrowing for investment. And that's one thing that the national government borrows. A lot of things that we are doing is based on debt. The roads, even some of the non-infrastructural programs, like this Nyota program, is also based on borrowed money. Now, counties can only borrow with the consent or approval of the national government. And Nderitu Murithi had a very good program, but I think he got an approval from Senate.
Actually, I didn't know that counties can only borrow with their approval.
Okay. But before he could implement it, came the elections. And my brother, who is now the governor, was not quite enthusiastic about what Nderitu was doing. So it became a cropper. But I think if you look at economies and states where devolution works, be it the United States, California prides itself to be the 4th or 5th largest economy in the world, just a state within a nation. Because they are able to do a lot of these things on their own, borrow, invest, and do a lot of the work that our national government. I think the thing that we really must fix, this notion of centrality, that everything can only be done by national government. And part of what we are suffering now, look at the roads. The national government would rather keep all that money at the national level. Whereas under the Constitution, they should only be looking after national highways. There are only two distinctions: national highways and county roads. Now with the creation of Kura, you find that even a little town is Kura which is doing the road. And for them to notice there's a road in Kiambu, in some little town, or in Nyanyuki,
It's an
lobby and cry
it's an unlearning. There's a lot of questions from viewers.
Yes.
In fact, Jeremy is like, Janet, stop filtering. We want to know Mr. Orengo's political stand. We have a whole other hour with Honorable James Orengo. Mariam had mentioned something about corruption. And somebody here asked Jeremy's, what did he say? He's asking about how we can get to sing. Yes, I'm eager to hear from the governor how we should punish corruption in order to be at par with Singapore, as the president put it. Okay. So we'll see if we can speak to that.
Maybe after the break.
Yes.
So we can go through
There's
that
many.
entire thread of questions.
Yeah, no, yeah, it'll have to be after, because a lot of them are speaking to, we want to know his political stand. We want to, and it's the people asking. In fact, they're saying it would be an abomination for us not to ask
Not
you.
to ask, right?
But yes.
Let me take the pressure off for now.
Yes.
All these things that we've talked about, especially for the Siaya International Investment Conference. I was about to say convention center. Maybe there should be a Siaya International Convention Center.
We'll get there.
We're getting there, right?
Yeah.
But for the investment conference, how are we positioning Siaya to attract this investment? All the things that we want to do: agriculture, mining, nuclear energy. What's the positioning to attract the investment?
Siaya is so strategically located. We are at the center of East and Central Africa. In fact, initially, the headquarters for Eastern Community was going to be in Kisumu, which is close by. But that was fought off. We have a reasonable long coastline along Lake Victoria. We have 4 lakes within the Yala Delta, which is the biggest freshwater lake, wetland, biggest freshwater wetland in the country, and the second biggest oxbow lake in Africa. That wetland has got big potential. We are told by experts that it can address about 30% of our rice deficit if properly used and properly managed. And we used to have an investor there who ran to Nigeria, and the potentials were clear. You can do palm oil, rice, you can do sugarcane, you can do a lot of other things. So location, I think, matters. Maritime transport, we have direct links with Uganda, Tanzania, not just the region around the lake. Right now, we could do a little better with the infrastructure, but if the ring road around the lake is completed, I think even tourism and other related businesses can prosper in Siaya.
I like that. Let's leave it at that and just go into a break. When we come back, your questions, yes, we will ask Governor your questions, as well as talking a little bit more about devolution, politics, the economy, and of course about the Siaya Trade and Investment Conference. Hashtag is Fixing the Nation NTV. We'll be back after this.
Things from it.
Agreed. We're back in conversation with Governor James Orengo. James Agre Bob, J-A-B Orengo. And we're discussing devolution, economics, politics, all that and more. But before we even get back into our questions, let's start with yours. And I know there's plenty. We'll go through them, and then of course we'll just have an overlook and then go through them maybe one by one. The NAVCDP aim for farmer mobilization with the essence to increase productivity. How will it be done differently to avoid the misuse of funds as replicated in different counties like Kakamega? Okay, we'll have a look at what program that is exactly. Ask Governor Orengo about his political stand. Ask Jeremy, saying, I'm here to hear from the governor how we should punish corruption in order to be at par with Singapore, as the president says it. There's another question. Oh, Kikombe here is just asking that you share your quote again. The quote that sometimes revolutions eat their own children and governments eat their own people. Let me start from there. Governor, this quote, when was it said? What was the context? I think we remember, but we want to hear from the horse's mouth. The context of, you know what, revolutions eat their own children, and why it's still true today.
if you look at the French Revolution, a lot of people who were even at the leadership, the people who were behind it, ended up in the guillotine. Many, including the worst of them all, who was really the big voice in the French Revolution, Robespierre. And I think even in our own nation, if you look at the original 7 people who were jailed with Kenyatta, after independence, it didn't fare very well. A lot of them went into detention.
Except the one who was fairly friendly to the administration of the day.
We have people who sacrificed for the nation, like James Kariki, being brought down by his own government, and a polite and civil gentleman like Robert Uko. People still wonder why it had to be eliminated. But the thing about that quote, even as you support a government, always be very careful, because governments normally run on the basis of cabals. They say the right things, but in the safety and security of the big house or smoking rooms, they plot against their own people from within. So aim always to achieve the best. Forming a government, I think, is transactional. You form it today, it goes after 5 years. But I think to life and to a nation, there's the more important thing, like, let's say, defending the Constitution.
It should be how we move, but usually it's the cabals, and then you're out of power. Suddenly you're no longer in favor. Then there's a corruption charge against you when you were never corrupt in power. You know how the game goes. But before we talk those matters, there's a question here on healthcare. Why the silence after health workers were fired in your county? Are you not aware of addressing the issue? And we were just actually asking you during the break if there are any challenges with healthcare, but also if there's any healthcare workers in Siaya that have been fired.
First of all, dealing with the first part of the question, we have a lot of challenges because, there are UHCs who are being employed by the national government. National government was trying to, push them to counties, but without the money. So that debate continues.
Who's paying them?
And so long as it's not resolved, locally, the health personnel push counties to resolve, because it's much easier to confront the county governments. And then there is, of course, clawback with national government. Health is devolved, and the big percentage of revenue that goes into health is still retained by national government. Then there are policies like SRC, new guidelines of how to pay personnel, including health workers. They give those guidelines, but they don't tell us where to get the money. And then there's also the policy that as you employ, 30% of your money should not go to wage bill. The wage bill must be under 35%. How do you balance that? I also normally have the argument that to employ a doctor is not a matter of wage bill. If you consider that, it's development. And in our current arrangement, paying doctors is part of the wage bill. And I, for one, feel really, really offended by that. Because if there's anything, particularly in the counties in Nyanza, the disease burden is very high. So we need health facilities, but also health personnel. Now, there was a group of health workers who were irregularly recruited. They were not part of the personnel in the sense that they were never integrated in the system. It was a criminal enterprise by 4 or 5 people. But it involved so many people that at the end of the day, in order to try to resolve the matter, if you look at the law strictly, then you're going to affect, the lives of a lot of people who, some of them had already been posted to health facilities. I'm having a conversation. I asked them to come to the county headquarters. We had a conversation, meeting them on the 22nd again to find a solution, not to declare like a court that
you're procedurally in office.
You're not in office. You're not employed.
Are you being too diplomatic there? If indeed, if indeed they were hired irregularly by a cabal of 5 people, is that being too diplomatic?
No, not being too. It's not being diplomatic because now it is a matter of public concern now. Because we need health personnel. We don't have enough.
Yeah. And are they qualified?
They're quite a number of them are qualified. Okay. Quite a number of them are qualified. And I dare say even some of them were in some facilities where they were the only personnel there. So that speaks to the need in the health sector. We can never have enough doctors. We can never have enough nurses. But national government should fully devolve so that we can be able to take care, because they can't really manage.
What's your reflection, and maybe you've already spoken to it? Yesterday we were speaking to the other Kiambu County issues around health. There seems to be, I think for lack of a better word, a stalemate when it comes to health workers, health sector in the country. What do you think it will really take to slice through that so that we don't have the endless strikes, we don't have the miscommunication, and we don't have, in the case of one of the counties, a lot of deaths that people are trying to speak to? What do you think it will take, just your opinion, to just kind of progress this, because the stalemate persists and patients are the ones who are hurt more often than not?
I think the national government should fully devolve the health sector. There's a lot of resources in the health sector. Plus, donors out there giving a lot of money in the health sector, and it goes to the national government first, and then they determine how that money is used. Just think about hospitals that are being run independently by the faith community. A lot of very good hospitals, they run independently, and some of them not one, not two, several. If you think about the private hospitals, these facilities must not be run by national government or monitored by national government, in a sense that it creates hurdles and more challenges instead of solutions. So they have a lot of programs coming in. If you want to buy equipment, we got a program for you. You sign in and you get this equipment. It's not based really on the needs of particular counties. It's just one solution which is supposed to be good for all. And if you don't, sometimes members of the public also begin to ask, why are you not going for this money? Why aren't you going for this equipment? Sometimes that equipment requires you to have a structure, to have power. So I think national government should just
devolve health.
So what will it take? When somebody as senior as James Orengo says national government should devolve, as senior as Anyang Nyong'o saying national government should devolve, and the national government is not devolving, it's worrying.
Yeah, it's worrying. It's worrying.
Right. So what will it take to actually have the national government do the right thing?
I don't think it's about what it takes, but having a government elected to fully meet the promise of the Constitution, because that's the standard. The Constitution says devolve, and there's a clawback. Including in many areas, including infrastructure and agriculture. The challenge in Kenya, unlike let's say the US, where it was states, deciding to come together. So they went in powerfully and put their positions clear.
Right.
But in Kenya, we were one state
And then now
trying
we're
to devolve.
devolving.
And a lot of people, if you're in Vasha, a lot of people, when we're having that final conversation with members of parliament, a lot of people just imagine of their day in power, you know, and they want it whole. They don't want it,
They don't want it
in pieces.
It's
So
the wrong
here we are
mindset.
then. You know, we will require a government that is keen to implement the constitution to the letter. Do you think the people, the citizens, are of that same mindset?
I think that the fact that they voted for this constitution is the primary factor to consider.
And then they voted for 3 governments since then.
And they voted yes for 3 governments, yes, but I think it was on the promise of the constitution, and these governments were created by the constitution. So those levels should be respected. They are distinct, although they are required to work together in collaboration and in unity, because you are one nation with 48 governments. But, you know, take an example like Nigeria, where they have this experience of military governments. You know, the devolution is at a higher notch than even a government which did not have that experience in Nigeria. And the resources are divided between national government and states almost equally, or it's almost 50-50. I have been to a meeting, the World Urban Forum, which was of sovereign states, which means counties, states, provinces. And some of these strong sub-sovereign entities in some countries, when we were in that conference, they were signing deals to build airports, to build ports. You know, why should Mombasa port be a national, asset? In the United States, some of these ports and airports are not operated by national governments. But there's this thing that we want it whole. Well, even a family, if you run it on that basis, you cannot really succeed.
You have to devolve power.
Yeah,
so you're saying that the people have the intention of, but at the election point, of electing a government that will live by the letter and spirit of the Constitution.
Yeah.
And then we've seen governments not living fully to the letter and spirit of the Constitution. Okay? So what then needs to change?
I think this is a Kenyan problem. I don't know how we resolve it. When the elections come, we go ethnic, we go tribal. The issues don't matter. I think GenZ was the biggest movement after the movement for independence, which did not depend on political parties. Political parties were created after the colonial power was now ready and willing to relinquish power. But the movement towards independence was fought by the people in the streets, in the forest. Now, these GenZs were fighting in the streets with no other agenda. They were not saying, we want to be governor of Nairobi, we want these positions. They were just concerned about their situation. I wish that movement would have continued, and I think that movement would have led to a different kind of politics.
Some in your quarters, Governor, felt that movement was getting to a dangerous zone. It was getting out of hand. It could have led into a situation of anarchy in this country.
Well, I don't think it was an insurrection. I think in a democracy, unless you allow people to express their views robustly and they're unarmed, you should learn to live with it in democracies. I mean, look at what has happened in France. They're constantly, that President Macron, in 2 years, I don't know how many prime ministers he's had, because of constant, demonstrations. Even when we have a strong man in politics, But if it's a fully fledged democracy, I don't think people should be scared of people coming out. Because our constitution says the people are sovereign. They exercise their power directly.
The Constitution says that.
Yeah, but
how it's translated
or indirectly. But you know, when you, how do they exercise it directly? That is a question. Yeah, they vote, but they can also protest.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they can picket.
Yeah.
And it doesn't say it has to be this size.
You're about to ask something.
Go first. It's okay.
Just still on this issue, you've seen revolutions, you've been at the heart of them. Is there anything about what we're going through now as a country that concerns you? Because the pushback on agency, at least for those of us who are alive in a time when we're seeing it play out in real time, is worrying. You've seen it from the 80s, the 90s, but is there something about how people's push for power being muffled, which I think it is, how much does it concern you vis-a-vis how it did in the past?
It concerns me that the desire of our constitution was to have a responsible executive, but with very little power. Power was decentralized, and the executive was supposed to, keep within its, space. If you look at the presidency between Kenyatta's time and now, there's not so much of a difference. There's not so much a difference. I think I'm hoping we will be one day be in a country where it would not really matter who is in State House, but it'll matter what happens to you as a free citizen. There are some countries you go to, like in the UK now, if you ask somebody in the street who is the Prime Minister, they'll not be able to tell you. Because governance is there. Who is
institutional.
Is institutional.
Not personality
Not
driven.
personality. I think the big man syndrome, whether at counties, I'm not saying just the national government, even at the counties, the big man syndrome, comes up all the time. And that can only, come down with a more conscientized, nation, aware of their rights. And I'm happy about Kenyans because we live in a neighborhood that we can really. We don't have very good examples to live by or live with. In fact, Kenya can be a little gem comparatively. But, democracies are not about being better than your neighbor. It's about being the best.
Right.
At any moment. So I hope that we can conscientize our people so that, particularly the young people, they were coming up with a wonderful idea.
You say that like it's in the past. I think it's just taken a different form. And you've, like Janet said, you've been through lots of wave changes, whether it's multi-party democracy, whether it's a new constitution. I think they ebb and flow, right? Movements, they ebb and they flow and they change tact when need be. Is there anything from those times that reminds, like, that you can see happening now? Or do you actually think that this movement and this fervor that Gen Z had has died out?
I don't think it'll die out. It'll be a lull. So long as things don't change, there'll be a lull. Weaponization of, criminal justice system sometimes has got very, authoritarian and consequences. How to fight your opponent, use the coercive instruments of the state. That happens in democracies that are not living true to their principles. But I believe that the Kenyan youth, their level of their conscientization cannot allow things to happen like they used to happen in the past.
Yeah.
And with social media, people get news before even people in government know what's happening.
It's so powerful.
Yeah, it's a powerful instrument.
It's amplified. We're going to, I know we'll come to a break soon and ask about party politics. It's hard to escape that. Bura Willington is asking something that I had actually wanted to ask you, which is whether there's a time, and I think we talked about it in the break, where you've had to choose between conscience and career.
No, many times. I'm most of the time very disturbed, actually, because matters of conscience and principle are things that I've learned to live with over the years. But we live in a nation where if you want to make choices, those choices sometimes can take you into the wrong direction. I know of my comrades who have tried to stick to issues of principle and not have a midway. Sometimes the noise that comes from the mainstream politics pushes them to the periphery of events and of debates. I have people I've known for their commitment, people like Koigu Amwere and Mwachofi, very good brains, but being so rigid, pushes them to the periphery rather than have a voice within the mainstream. So this balance is something that disturbs me all the time.
It disturbs you
all the time.
Observing you, telling you personally, it also I can sort of feel how it's disturbing you, but it disturbs me as well. I remember I was reminding you guys, James Orengo ran for president in 2002. In that election that people talk about, there was a whole unity. Orengo did not go that way. Orengo went.
That tells you
on
about
a different path. On a different path. When we had all these political parties becoming regional parties and so on and so forth, and you had a party for the Mount Kenya region, a party for the coastal region, a party that was emerging to be the party for Nyanza region, stuck with Ford Kenya and then with SDP and so on. I want to understand at what point then you decided, let me be the bigger party or the smaller person to then join the wave. But let's take a break. Come back and respond to that.
Sometimes I made choices to keep a debate. Like when we were in SDP, we were very sure that we were not going to be very successful at the ballot box. But we said we use that platform to talk about issues, and we used to have another movement known as Mageuzi, which I think also demonstrated to Kenyans that you can tell the truth to power without fear of any consequences. So partly was to keep the debate on matters that we think were really important. And I can say that there are a lot of people who would come to me and say, you are saying the right things, because, as I said, governments is the only people. Some people rush into government, and the next month or year, they were out of it.
You paid a price, because then you did not get into parliament. You were out of that national governance in 2002 to 2007. Let's talk about that, and then look at currently and what we have in our leadership and what prices people are having to pay. Governor James Orengo, the governor for Siaya County, is our guest today. We're having a conversation about devolution, about development, and about politics. Remember, the investment conference is coming up. It's called Sitiko, the Siaya International Trade and Investment Conference, from the 14th to the 17th of October in Siaya. Back in a moment.
400.
Right, we continue our conversation with the Siaya County Governor, James Orengo. A few questions and comments, and we'll come back to the one on what is the governor's position on CDF from Ask Jeremy. Somebody else here, Hans Sads. This is a living legend. Take your flowers in a revolutionary living color. You've been and always will be fighting a good fight, so that's to you. Somebody else here is asking about, he's also saying, I'll sit here until Governor James Orengo is there. Isn't he one of Kenya's finest? Ask him about having been both in opposition and government. What's the most difficult personal compromise he's had to make? He kind of spoke to that a little bit. For those who are all asking, the latecomers to class, why is Eric wearing a cap? There's like 4 of you who smallest ever meuliza, Bernard Aboga meuliza. Mwingine anasema, even me, I want to know. Customer Service Week. Yes. It's been themed every day. Black on Monday. Yesterday was Africa Day. Today is old school. So yes, he went all the way 90s
right.
with the side cap.
And Jano is basically Aliyah reincarnated. Yes.
Mariam did the checked shirt. This is such a good vibe.
Right.
Yes, plaid. I'm so glad it's back.
I'm so
glad a lot of these, a lot of these fashions are back. But yes, so let's continue. The governor's position on CDF, and you wanted to build on that, Mariam.
Right, which is, and just over the break we were discussing, some of the ways in which to empower, the Senate and county governments. But this thing of CDF, NGCDF now, and then the Senate Oversight Fund and GAF being entrenched into the Constitution. I want to know the governor's thoughts on it.
Yeah, CDF, historically it came about because, the national government was so powerful to the extent, members of parliament were not able to be associated with any development that was going on in their counties, if at all there was any development. So it was supposed to give members of parliament, some sense of involvement in the development agenda of their counties.
A token project.
And then a sense of equity. It was only probably the only fund that went across the country based on a formula that was fair throughout the region. So to that extent, and because of the history of our parliaments, the way to be a member of parliament, you go down to your constituency, people want to know, what have you done? What are you doing for us? In my time when I was member of parliament at the beginning, my first salary was 4,500 shillings as a member of parliament.
What year was that?
That was 1980. And within the year...
Just for inflation, I see how much that is in today's money. Go on.
Within the year, it grew to 8,500. And the next year, it grew to about 24,000 shillings. But we used to be judged by what you were doing or saying in parliament. You people would be fixed to their radios. If you're an active member of parliament, and particularly when you're taking government to account, you're pretty safe. I would go to my constituency without a coin and be able to spend a week or a weekend and get back to Nairobi without spending any money. Now, members of parliament are under a lot of stress, including every elected leader. Not just having some ready cash. It helps.
If you have some.
If you have some. But something you can say, I brought this one.
Some tangible.
But I think in terms of our constitutional arrangement, it'd be an abomination because the 3 branches of government are well set and their roles. So it'd be like now doing what we did to Lancaster Constitution, bringing elements of it that are inconsistent with the structures of the Constitution. That's a debate that we must have. Do you want a parliament that is committed to the 3 main roles, representation, legislation, and oversight? Or do you want a different
bag?
A different animal?
And Latif, there's another one here that you spoke a little bit in the break, how the governor was one of the people who formulated the Constitution. He went for senator role before governor. Some commentators have said that the senatorial role was meant to be superior. We were threading it a little bit during the break. But if you can speak to that,
Yes, if you talk to a lot of people, including the many senior people who went to the Senate, Amos Wako, Kiraitu, and Yang, it was a desire to build it. And I think, if you look at how it started, we have a much stronger Senate. If France has got on paper the weakest Senate
On paper.
On paper. But going by how Parliament operates in France, if there's any matter that requires, discussion of effective and significant manner, it always goes to the Senate, or any major issue. The government of the day would normally elect to take it to the Senate. There are fewer. It takes, each senator has a lot of time to talk about any single issue. I can't survive in the current National Assembly where you have 5 minutes to speak. I remember, there's a time I tried to beat Martin Shikuku because the law of relevance was the only limit to debate. And I spoke in that parliament for 2.5 weeks, non-stop. Yeah, and that I could not be stopped so long as the speaker determined that there was no repetition and there was relevance. If you look at the order paper of that time, there were question time, and then from 3:30, the order paper read business. So when the business started, that was the time to be in Parliament, from 3:30 up to 6:30. And things used to happen in Parliament. Kenyatta used to have, on-time recording, real-time recording of what was happening in Parliament, because anything could go south
at any moment.
At any moment. But now, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, I think, for a National Assembly. It's not a debating club. Even in my high school at Alliance,
it went longer.
It went longer.
They lost their way. You're always talking about Parliament Road. I thought we could shift gears to ODM at 20, and some people saying, ideologically, it may have aged with its founders. It's not what it was before. How are you commemorating, or what are you reflecting on as you turn 20?
I think the most important thing about the ODM is to judge what it does at any time when we have a crisis. And the tendency over the years, they have been closer to the people when it mattered. Take any time when people have been on the streets on any issue, be it IBC, problems about ABC, probably about budget or about governance generally. The party that would normally come out in front with the people would be ODM, even up to now. I say is a party which rallies any party can do, but taking issues to the people and confronting the government of the day with that issue. I think ODM, if it has to be judged on the basis of what it is, a party of the broad masses of the people, and a progressive party, a progressive movement, I think compared with any other party we have now, those parties tend to exist around elections only. And even now, both in government and in opposition, a lot of parties are geared towards 2027 rather than the issues of the day. ODM, I think, has had some challenges. For example, being robbed of elections time and again. And whenever ODM has tried to correct that, the debate dies. And therefore the parties, at some instances, have to make a choice. Do you let things go south or in the backwater, or do you make compromises to push government or the leadership of the day towards doing certain things which would meet the promises of the Constitution? And I think Mandela was one such person who showed sometimes compromises work.
Some compromises could be called very expensive compromises. If indeed ODM believes that it has been robbed of election, how many times now? 4 times? right? In those 20 years, there have been 4 elections. If ODM believes that it has been robbed of an election all those 4 times, the first time, 2008, it was co-opted and we had to amend the constitution so that the leader of ODM can also be a leader of government, in government, and the party is incorporated in government. In subsequent elections, what we see is that compromise. And the issue of compromise comes into, you know, let's shake hands, we shall talk about electoral reforms, but electoral reforms don't happen. There was a handshake with Uhuru. The point of electoral reforms could have been a big one. ODM participated in amending the laws on the election laws to create these juggernauts of political parties, and some have called them mongrels, like Azimio. In this current dispensation, ODM has donated its experts into government, and we are still not talking about electoral reforms. So ODM could be making compromises, but those compromises that must be very expensive. In 2027, you'll again cry that your election.
I think there I agree with you without a doubt that some compromises are very expensive because you lose time and focus. And to reorganize, to come back to where you were, is very difficult. And then when you make a compromise, it depends on the other partner, whether that partner is going to be able to go the full hog. As now we can see even on the question of NADCO, you know, it has not been fully implemented and we don't talk much about it anymore. But look at the compromise with Kibaki. Without it, there would have been no 2010 constitution. And I think for that compromise, ODM should be lauded. You know, Kibaki was very adamant about, you know, things remaining the way they are. In fact, when he used to talk about devolution and governors, where Kibaki was, he would protest. I had a very good personal relationship with Kibaki, by the way. I admire the man, his debating skills. He came to Ugenya constituency when I was in Parliament. But there are certain things he would not accept. One of them being even position of governors. But that compromise paid off because we have now a constitution. And I believe without it, is a broad-based government a sacrifice that you think is similar to that one? Because it feels like co-option of the part of the momentum of our movement. Is that such a sacrifice? The only difference, the only difference is that, you know, during the Grand Coalition, we were in government by law. We had to amend the constitution and amend the law to make that possible. And that made it possible to have that compromise. The same thing has not happened now. That's why we have donated people and still remain to be an opposition party. You know, that is like an insurance policy. Telling people in Kenya Kwanza that if you remember you were still in the opposition. That's an insurance policy.
Can walk out anytime.
Insurance policy is a very interesting way. How are you reconciling that with the new energy that's coming up? For example, the Secretary General is quite vocal just about how it needs to shift and evolve from what it is now, what you've described it. How is ODM reconciling that new energy?
I don't think it's a question of reconciling because he's still the Secretary General. And by the way, in terms of all these parties, I think ODM has got a Secretary General. If you ask you who's the Secretary General of these other parties, it'll take you a little time to remember who they are. He's a wonderful individual, and it'd be a great loss not to have Sifuna as Secretary General. That's how dynamic the party is. Because, you know, in a lot of political parties, you have formations, you have caucuses. In the United States Democratic Party, it has caucuses, including the Black Caucus is generally, you know, they belong to the Democratic Party, save for one or two in the Republican Party. So I think ODM is not a party that belongs to the praise and worship kind of formation, because you've got elements who can speak up and say the truth to power. Just in as much as we are partly in government, I don't think now we can say there's a donation. I think the proper thing to say is that we're in government, but not structurally. Yeah, the coalition is not a coalition, because coalitions you have to have something more as opposed to an arrangement. Yeah.
I see leadership of the ODM. So we have a young, full Secretary General. If we look at the three deputy party leaders now, we have the governor of Kisii, the senator of Higa, the governor of Mombasa as the secretaries general, as the deputy party leaders. Do you think this party, as you sit back and look at ODM at 20, can it survive ODM minus Raila, Orengo, and Anyang' Nyong'o?
I think that depends on what we do, and that will depend on what the party is. If we keep it to be a progressive movement and a party for the broad masses of the people, then it can survive. If it's a party that is based on individuals, based on some personalities, then ODM may not really survive the test of time and be a great party to even celebrate its centenary like ANC has done in South Africa. So the question of the core ethos or ideology of the party is very important. And people must continue, even ODM must continue to talk about what are our principles, what is our blueprint, political blueprint, that makes it a unique and distinct party. Take the great leader we have in terms of party leadership, but is every ordinary member of ODM able to talk about what is the party principles, right. What is its ideology? I think there we still have some work to do. I don't know whether what happened in Tanzania during Mwalimu Nyerere. They used to have a very important member of the executive in charge of ideology, some of the best brains, so that in as much as Tanzania was one party, there were some fundamental principles that made TANU and then CCM to be a progressive party. Okay. And when the party flounders or goes the wrong direction, it is easier to make judgment. There's some political parties whether they go left or right. There's nothing you can judge them upon. But ODM, I think, has got a past and has got principles on which a lot of people can judge the party, whether they are the party that they know or this is a different formation.
Okay. I want to wrap the conversation up, but I'm hoping that what you've explained about straddling this line between still being an opposition, despite having people in government, is true for the party and for you when it comes to straddling those two things, right? Okay. As we call it a day on the conversation,
no,
we have to talk about.
We have to ask you this question.
Yes, how is
James? We just have to.
We do.
Talk to the people of Kenya. You're seeing all these conversations online. You're seeing the statement from the Secretariat of Raila Odinga. ODM Secretary General yesterday said, look, this is not a matter for the party. It is a matter for the person. Okay? As a national leader and as a senior leader of this country, what do you tell the people and the conversations going around the state, the health of the party leader, Raila Odinga?
I think Raila Odinga is well. I know he is well. And unlike many political leaders, when he gets sick, Raila talks about it very openly. When he's admitted in hospital, is a matter of public knowledge, leave alone these guesses that people are making. I mean, whenever he has gone to hospital locally, it's never been a secret. So it's like me, I was away, you know, for some time. People said this guy is dead.
But you're here today. We also want to wrap up and talk about Sitiko. I know we talked about it at length in the first hour. What can people expect? The dates are next week. We'll be there.
14th to 17th.
14th to 17th. Just in a minute, what can people expect? What are you most looking forward to? Yeah, just talk to Kenyans about Sitiko.
And who's invited to Sitiko?
That's true. Who's invited?
No, we have a lot of people in the business world who are coming. In fact, the first day, we want to have business people talking. You know, that's why we don't want political leaders on the first day, because it's about investment and trade. What happens when you have, you know, the high and mighty? When they come, we have to wait. When they go, people disperse. So there's going to be a real conversation. But we need the national government. So on the second day, the president of the republic will be our chief guest. And on that day, also we'll have a very interesting panel, which will talk about investment and trade in his presence. And then on Friday, Raila Odinga will preside over the closure. Okay. Yeah, so we have 14 full days, and let's have the conversation. And all the questions, some of the questions you have asked me, the answer was there.
Fantastic.
His Excellency James
Orengo.
Orengo.
Fix the nation from Siaya.
Yes, hopefully.
Yes.
Governor Siaya County. Before we let you go, we have our leadership who would like to gift you.
Something small.
So we can please invite Monica Ndungu.
Monica Ndungu.
The 90s.
She's the 90s girl.
So that today we are saying hi like this, Apparently, that's what they did in the 90s. So I'm sure Governor is shocked to see me looking there.
Look at my colors. How interesting.
Hello, Governor. How are you?
Nice to see you.
This week is Customer Service Week. And you have been one of our greatest supporters, not just as governor, but in the whole lifespan of the Nation Media Group. When we look at our history, you have stood with us because of the work we do, our journalism, our opportunity that we have been given to serve the audiences, to ensure that we inform them, to ensure that every single day for us is one that we are of service to the people. And so to have someone like you support us, you're one of our greatest customers. And so for Customer Service Week, we are celebrating our customers. So not only are you helping us fix the nation, but you're also one of our greatest supporters. And we celebrate you and wish you well, not just as governor, but also as a great son of the soil of Kenya, isn't it?
I love the dress code today.
Yes, so the dress code today is old school. And old school comes with all...
He took my shirt.
Oh, he did?
The truth is, Governor Orengo has a shirt like this one.
Oh, does
So he was your inspiration.
So he's your inspiration. So thank you so much.
But let's not end without talking about the wonderful work the nation has done. Going over the years, nation has been part and parcel of making Kenya a better place. And they have had sacrifices made. Some of your people have been taken to the test. I am not talking about how, but you have lived true to the principle. Inform, educate, and many other things that have helped Kenya be what it is. Shukrani sana.
Asante sana. From one customer to the other.
Yes.
Happy Customer Service Week.
Keep it here for more conversations. In the next hour, we have another guest who's be joining us. So it's now 9 a.m. In the next hour, we say, lest we forget, there was some series of bombings and bomb attacks in Nairobi, in the country. And one of them happened along Thika Road, Paradiso. Somebody who was in that matatu will be joining us next. It's 9 a.m. Good morning.